Our goal is to purify the mind. We discussed to purify the mind, just chant the name of God. But this tool is weak. If you can learn the art of visualization, you will have a tool that will be 1,000 times more powerful than mere chanting of the name of God. A picture is worth 1,000 words. So an image is always more powerful. And as a self-transformation tool, you can use it. The power of visualization was graphically revealed by a testimonial of one Russian Jew called Nathan Sharansky. He was a Jew living in communist Russia, and he was accused of being an American spy and thrown into jail. He describes the conditions in jail. They were so bad. For 400 days, he was in the Siberian jail, the worst of them all. His prison cell was 4 feet by 3 feet, where he used to live. Now, in such a place, your body will start deteriorating for lack of exercise, and the brain will also start deteriorating. So he had this will to remain all right. Of course, for his body, he would do anti-gravity exercises. But what to do for the brain? As a child, he was fond of chess. So he said, I will play chess in the mind. Now you keep 64 squares in the mind. Naturally, it will be a big gymnastics. So every day he used to play chess in his mind. And with whom to play? So he would say, why not play with the world champion?
Check.
The world champion in those days, his name was Garry Kasparov. So he used to play with Garry Kasparov in the mind. He stayed in jail for 12 years. After 12 years, when Bill Clinton became the president of USA, he made an appeal to the Russian government, and the Russian government released him. He went out of jail and he went to live in Israel, where he became a cabinet minister. Now, Garry Kasparov, he came on a visit to Israel. These grandmasters and world champions played demonstration matches. In the demonstration match, they will take on 5 players at a time or 40 players at a time. So on this day, Garry Kasparov was playing against 5, 1 against 5. He defeated 4 of them, but he lost to one person. And the person whom he lost to was Nathan Sharansky. The reporters asked him, Sir, how did you defeat the world chess champion? You are not a grandmaster or anything of the sort. He said, for 12 into 365 days, I was defeating him every day in my mind. So I had got programmed to defeat him was the most natural thing for me. Like as you keep typing, it becomes natural for you. So to defeat him was the most natural thing, because he had visualized it again and again and again. He had programmed his subconscious for victory against the world chess champion. That was the power of visualization. Now people are used to making New Year resolutions. I will get up at 5 o'clock every day. I will do this, I will not do that. They write the New Year resolution in their diary and then they close the diary. So those words which you wrote, within a few days they have slipped out. And the whole year passes by. Next New Year again you remember, oh, New Year resolution. One person went to the gym on 3rd of January. He found the whole parking lot was jam-packed. He had to wait 10 minutes for an empty spot. And when he went into the gym, in front of every machine there was a queue. He asked the gym manager, "What's going on? Are you running out of space?" The gym manager said, "Sir, these are the New Year resolution people. You wait for 10 days, everything will be back to normal." The same New Year resolution, if you had made it with images, you visualize every day in the morning at 6, I'm going to the gym and I'm doing yoga or whatever, and kept that image for 1 minute, you would not have forgotten it. Again, the sports arena, they utilize the power of visualization. The number 1 golfer in American golf history has been Jack Nicklaus. The Jack Nicklaus, he is still alive, he gives his testimonial. He says, "I never hit the ball before properly visualizing the whole terrain and the track, and the ball in flight from the club and flying through the air and rolling into it." So he knows that if the conscious mind is to control the musculoskeletal system, it will be an impossible task. Itni to buddhi nahi hai. But if the subconscious can come into play, then things will become automatic. So he first holds the image within himself and then goes for it. The sports people realize that. One sports psychologist, John Murray in Florida, he has coached many Olympic champions. So he says, when you want to serve the ball in tennis, you first visualize the ball in flight going and hold that image, which corner of the court you want to see the ball landing, and then you throw the ball and hit it. But the same visualization can be utilized to bring our subconscious into play in any realm in life. One philosopher used it to heal himself. This was a gentleman called Norman Cousins. He is no more now, but he wrote a book, Anatomy of an Illness. He was diagnosed with leukemia, blood cancer. He said, I will tap into the power of my mind. This is mind over matter. He is using the power of thoughts to heal the body. He describes his meditation. He describes that daily he would sit and meditate, that millions upon millions of WBCs, white blood corpuscles in his blood, they are going and attacking these cancer cells and eating them up and finishing them up. So he would do it every day, visualize it. That visualization went straight to the subconscious, which changed his bodily processes, and his leukemia went into remission. He continued to live for another 20 years through that power of visualization. Now, how do we use this tool for our benefit? Our goal is to purify the mind. You purify the mind by attaching it to the all-pure God. To purify your mind and the subconscious, you want to make them divine. And how to make them divine? So simple. You visualize the image of your Ishtadev, of your Lord.
What is the best way to tackle problems that we face? And what should we do when problems seem to besiege us from all sides? There was the service engineer of a huge manufacturing house in New York. At night, he received 2 emails from his clients. One was from Nevada, demanding that he reach there tomorrow by the next flight or they would cancel the contract. The second was from Jacksonville, Florida, asking him to reach there at the earliest to solve the problem in the machine that had been purchased. Pondering over what he should do, he went to sleep. Next morning, he received one text message from Bakersfield in California demanding that he reach there at the earliest possible. And the fourth was from Cleveland asking him to reach there immediately. He completed his breakfast, put on his coat, walked out with his briefcase and waved for the taxi. When the taxi driver stopped there, he said, "Sir, where do you wish to go?" This man said, "I don't care. Take me anywhere. I've got problems everywhere." But we all feel sometimes that we have so many problems. As somebody said, "I like to live one day at a time." But recently, many days have attacked me together. That is the reality of life. I once saw a cartoon. The father had stopped the car and got down and was changing the punctured tire. The young child was sitting in the car and peeping out. He was complaining, "Father, why is this happening to us?" The father was responding, "My child, this is life. It is not a TV channel that you just change the channel and get rid of it." So problems are a fact of life. Now, what should we do when we face them? The first one, expect problems to happen. If you have a job, the only way you can justify the job is that you are solving the problems that are arising. So expect problems. When parents have children, they assume that their children will grow up to be the most obedient, the most dedicated and loyal. And when that doesn't happen, they become surprised. Why did you have false expectations? The second one, anticipate problems. In other words, if you are going uphill, you naturally anticipate that the journey will be difficult. Similarly, if you take up a project, anticipate there will be problems that will arise. One child texted his mother from school. Mommy, failed in algebra. Prepare dad. His mother texted back, Dad is prepared. Prepare yourself. That is the anticipation of the problem. Further, face the problem. Don't cover your eyes and say the problem does not exist. There was a very famous commercial that appeared on American television many years ago of the elephant in the room. The TV commercial showed a normal American family with an elephant in the house, and everybody was going about their works as if the elephant did not exist. Now the problem was there, but people were refusing to recognize it as such. And once you face the problem, keep a proper perspective towards it. In other words, think of people who have bigger problems. People come up to me and say, Swamiji, I am so upset. I say, why? 3 days ago, this person said that to me. I say, my, is that the end of the world? Think, if we were born a few decades ago and were participating in the Second World War, what a problem we would have had to face. So, put the problem in its proper perspective. One girl left home to go to college for the first time. She was living in the dormitory there. And after 3 months, she wrote her first letter to her mother. She said, Mommy, I need to confess. 1 month after I reached the dormitory, I made a serious mistake. I stole $50 from my neighbor's cupboard. And with that, I rented a motorcycle. Unfortunately, I had an accident. I drove into a lamppost and broke my thigh bone. But Mommy, there was nothing to worry, because a handsome doctor down the lane took me into his house to nurse me. And Mommy, we have fallen in love. We have decided to get married. And I need to inform you that in the process of nursing me, my husband-to-be has lost his job. So after marriage, we both are going to come and stay with you and Dad. I am sure you will enjoy his company, even though he belongs to a different religious tradition. Now the mother, reading this note, her hair started standing on end. Oh God, what has happened to my darling child? However, the daughter concluded the letter, Really, Mommy, none of this is true. The only thing that has happened is that I have got an F in calculus. I wanted you to see it in the proper perspective. So put the problem in its place. It is not the end of the world. And then the next, learn from it. You see, if to fall in the water is not a problem, but to remain there is the problem. Similarly, to face challenges and obstacles in life is all right, provided we keep learning and we keep growing. I was once walking down the street and I saw a neighbor with his ear swollen walking the other way. I asked him, Champak bhai, what happened to you? He said, Swamiji, I was ironing my clothes and the mobile rang. So unfortunately, I picked up the iron and put it on my ear. That's how the ear got swollen. I said, Champak bhai, how come the other ear is also swollen? He said, Swamiji, That stupid person rang up once again. Now that is not what should happen. You made a mistake, learn and move ahead from it. When we do that, we realize that problems are really opportunities and challenges that provide us the environment to grow from within. Once, a boy learned about how ugly caterpillars transform themselves into butterflies in nature. A few days later, this boy was walking to school when in his garden he discovered on the rose bush a cocoon hanging. He was thrilled. He would soon see the miracle of nature unfolding before his eyes. So every day, while going to school and while returning, he would check out. Has the butterfly started emerging? On one Saturday morning, he discovered that there was a little tear in the cocoon. Every hour he would return to check the progress, and by late afternoon, the butterfly had started emerging. He was thrilled, and he was watching that cocoon transfixed. Slowly, the butterfly was tearing apart the cocoon and coming out into the beautiful world. However, halfway through, it seemed to get stuck. The cocoon was bobbing up and down, and the butterfly was not able to push through any further. The child felt pity upon the problems that the butterfly was facing. He ran home, got a pair of scissors, and snipped the cocoon. All problems disappeared. The butterfly dropped to the ground. He thought it will soon fly away, but he found it was squirming around. On looking carefully, he discovered the butterfly's stomach was swollen and the wings were shriveled. He thought this will probably soon correct itself, but he did not realize that now this would never be. That struggle of extricating itself from the cocoon was necessary for the butterfly to squeeze the fluid from its stomach into the wings. Without that challenge, without that hardship, the wings would remain ever shriveled and the stomach would remain swollen. Similarly, the problems that are placed in our life are a way for us to fill our wings for the spiritual flight to sublime heights and divine realization. Unfortunately, like the child, we don't realize that these problems are opportunities for growth. We look for people who can, with their scissors, snip away and take away all our problems, without understanding that it is in facing them that we truly grow, that we grow from within. As somebody said, I prayed to God for courage. He gave me dangers to surmount that I may grow in courage. I prayed to God for wisdom. He gave me problems to solve that I may become wise. I prayed to God for strength. He gave me obstacles and hardships to surmount that I may become strong. I prayed to God for love. He gave me the poor and downtrodden to serve that I may develop love. My prayers were answered. The prayers were answered not by comfort and ease, but by difficulty and hardship. When we develop this perspective towards problems, then life is no longer hardship. It becomes a joyous journey of growth, of the unfoldment of the divinity within us, and our ascension to the highest heights of human development.
This world is as it is for all of us. How you wish to see it will determine your level of happiness. There was a grandfather living in Hyderabad. When grandmother passed away, he said what to do. Should I spend 3 months with each of my children through the year? Rather than trouble them, let me stay in an old age home. So he found a good old age home in Hyderabad and went to speak to the manager that I'd like to purchase an apartment here. The manager finalized the contract, selected the room for him, and then he said to the nurse, "Show grandfather his new room." The nurse accompanied grandfather, guided him to his apartment, and she was cheering him up on the way. "Dadaji, you know, this room of which we have got for you, it has got a brick fireplace that looks so nice." Grandfather said, "I love it." The nurse said, "Dadaji, we have also got a Persian carpet there, and the design is so exquisite." He said, "Fantastic." The nurse said, "Dadaji, there's a Chinese vase with flowers in it." He said, "I just love it." The nurse said, "Dadaji, you have not even seen that apartment as yet. How can you say that you love it?" He said, "Look, my child, whether I love it or not does not depend upon the apartment. It depends upon me." Think about it very carefully. He is saying whether I love it or I don't love it does not depend upon the apartment. It depends upon me. So similarly in this world, you choose to be happy or you choose to be unhappy does not depend upon the situations. It just depends upon the choices that you make. And when we are unhappy, we are the ones who are choosing to be unhappy. It is said that genius is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. Somebody who is willing to keep on trying hard becomes a success. Mahakavi Kalidas, the great poet of Sanskrit literature. How did he ascend to that mastery over Sanskrit language? We have all heard the story. It is said he was so grossly dull in his intellect that he was sitting on the same branch that he was cutting. He didn't even realize that he will fall down with it. And there was this Rajkumari princess who was very scholarly. For her marriage, she had laid a condition. I will only marry that man who can defeat me in Shastrat, scriptural debate. So big scholars came, they endeavored. She would defeat all of them. So these pundits became annoyed. They said, we will teach her a lesson. Let's get her married to a gross fool. They went around looking and they found Kalidas cutting the tree's branch. They said, he is a fit candidate. They got hold of him and told him, look, you don't open your mouth. We will get you married to the princess. So they tied a big turban around him and they brought him and told the Rajkumari that he is a big scholar. But in present he is observing Maun Vrat, the vow of silence. So this Shastrarth, scriptural debate, will have to be only by actions. The Rajkumari said, all right. She lifted one finger. Kalidas, he thought, what is she trying to tell me? He lifted two fingers. He thought she's saying, I'll break one of your eyes. So he said, I'll break your both eyes. The Pandits asked her, what was your question? She said, my question was, is the Supreme Entity one or many? So they said, you know what he was trying to say was that he is both Sakar and Nirakar, with a form and formless. That is why he said two. Now the Rajkumari, she lifted her hand, 5 fingers like this. Kalidas thought she's saying, I'll slap you. So he showed his fist, I'll give you a box. Pandit said, what was your question this time? She said that the 5 senses are troubling us. What is the solution? They said what he was meaning was, with the help of the mind, you have to control them. In this way they debated and they defeated her together. Now she got married to this mood, this foolish Kalidas. After marriage they were sitting on the palace when a camel was going from there. Seeing the camel go by, Kalidas said, Uttara, Uttara, Uttara. The Rajkumari thought that, is he so illiterate he cannot even speak properly? She pushed him from the top of the stairway and Kalidas went rolling down, fell on the ground with a thud. But that insult, he decided to put it to good use. There was a temple of Mother Kali. He offered his respects and vowed that he will become a scholar and come back. He got up and went to Kashi, the city of scholars. He studied there like there was no yesterday and no tomorrow. And he became well versed in Sanskrit language. When he came back after a few years, he knocked on the door and said, Kapatam Dwaram Dehi. My dear wife, open the door. She heard, she recognized. So she said, Asti kaschit vag vishesha. Seems like you have become a great scholar with great proficiency over speech and writing. So those 3 words she uttered, Asti, Kaschit and Vag Vishesha, Mahakavi Kalidas wrote 3 Mahakavyams starting from each of these 3 words. So how did he reach that point? Through endeavor, through effort. Similarly, this process of spirituality requires us applying ourselves to it. So practice is important.